Okay, so this concludes my annual break. This is a cleaned up view after we put the food away. It's kind of a nice room. My friend's staying in down there. Here's the room with an extra bed. That was mine. A nice little bathroom here. Just wanted to document this nice place. We watched, well, not as many as 10 DVDs, but there's a number of things checked out from the library. So being like sensitive, check out the stainless steel fridge here. A couple things I thought I would hit on while we're still in here, enjoying, savoring this. So I want to be in a mindset of not being in desire, like the other day, like not being in desire to get away from this place and be back home. I'm kind of at that moment now where I'm over the 10 days of kind of being around other people that are living in pretty close proximity, that are vacationers. But the idea is to be able to tap into that wherever we go, there we are. It's important to be able to vacation, but for a number of reasons, to also be engaged in self-observation. You know, I care about productivity, but there's more than that. There's more than the importance of how much we physically get done or how much work we do. There's also being able to relax, step away from being productive, or our perception of. But even within the box of being productive, what does that even mean? Does it always mean working? What about being productive spiritually? Having those little blips on the radar of life, if you will, whether it be an insight, right? A certain level of creativity. One of the things that I want to do during my stay here is bring back otbtv.net. Also taking key photos from my Facebook page that I briefly logged back into to download certain profile pictures with former guests, other memes, right? To help people wake up. Also, various pictures, nature photography, you can now find at outsidethebox.net. I also foresee a day, as I wrote to a friend via letter, I foresee a day in which I'm able to step beyond what I do today digitally and go more fully off the grid, like growing food all the time. Maybe videos once in a while, maybe once a week, or maybe I'll record once a week and, maybe it'll be available every day. Maybe I'll have some additional assistance, maybe in the future, maybe not. But I think the point that I'm getting through or trying to get through is that I'm still on a process of trying to integrate with the real natural world more and more. And so what I like to do is gauge my own progress when I'm away from home and mood. But ultimately, it all comes back to wherever we go, there we are. We can be in a world where the grass is always greener on the other side, but I'm here to tell you, even if this high-end rental, and it is the cheapest in town, but it is much more than, you get much more with a kitchen and multiple rooms than some of the other rentals. But even if this was $500 a month, which, $500 a month for this, you'd have to go back decades to have something like this, $500 a month. Like in Oregon, you'd have to go back decades, maybe at least. I would still live off the grid. I would still turn away from a life of luxury. Even if somebody, some little like leprechaun from some like creepy little comic book, from the Ghost Rider series. I'm trying to remember something that I read back in the day in the early 90s. Right? Like a little leprechaun with a mysterious envelope and a really wide grin. Like a leprechaun from hell. And in that envelope is a blank check. It's like, here it is, Alex. All the riches you can even dream of. All the women. All the drugs. All the big TV shows you can dream of. The people would worship you. All you have to do is just sign on the dotted line. And a lot of people in this world don't know when they're signing on the dotted line with the devil of this world. Out of ego, fame, fortune, out of pleasuring the body's senses. So I would say in conclusion at this point, there's a reason why people like me are doing what we're doing off the grid. And we're going to be unpopular with some people. Some people might not even want to return to our channel because we're trying to speak truth to them. We're not trying to entertain them. And it's okay. It's okay if people find me and they want to be entertained. After all, it is considered to be an entertaining medium, right? More dopamine. Just keep watching. FOMO, fear of missing out and being juiced in all the time. And the dopamine of a live stream. Wow, it's a live stream. Just because my prana is going out live doesn't mean that the non-live versions of Alex Ansary are less valuable. And I can tell you from experience, I can see how there's a lot of content, a lot of heart and soul that I put into videos on this channel that have been overlooked, widely overlooked. And so I'm on a mission to master myself to not be enslaved by this world or co-opted by this world. Continue to talk about those things, honing the message, things of a spiritual nature, not allowing myself to get drawn into the clickbait nature of just talking about the latest geopolitical disaster. Does this channel right now in its current incarnation, right? There may have been other blips on the radar a year ago or 2 years ago, but does this channel in its current incarnation appear to be a channel that chases the news wire like it's another hit, like we're chasing the dragon, like we're getting ready to do a dab? Yeah, we're getting ready to exhale whatever's going on in the mainstream zeitgeist, the vein of the mainstream zeitgeist. Do we do that here at OTB TV? Or does my soul attempt to speak to your soul? So there's a reason why the things that I've talked about over the years have alienated most of the human species, including both sides of even my family. There's a reason why people like my friend here would be some of the only friends in my corner, not currently repelled by the subject matter. And she even has her own opinions regarding psychic attack, psychic defense, self-defense, spirituality, unplugging from the matrix. We're going to go over some of those things on the drive back as I transition energetically back into the off-grid reality. And I can feel it, after feeling what it's like to be surrounded by smart meters again, grid power again, showers again, right? All the things that people consider normal things in a world where Alex lives abnormally. And I can gauge at the end of the day, okay, did I feel more conscious as a result, more tapped in, more energized, or was I just simply a little cleaner, a little more well-fed? And it's great to see my friend, but she likes it here, so she rents every year here at this place. And it's a great break because I can come back with a greater sense of empowerment in a region, in a neighborhood where sometimes, there may be a sense of nostalgia, but you can't go back, even if you want to go back. Like some sort of nostalgia 1980s song. And as I look at the reports from Son of Hightower, and I look at the meltdown of Portland, Oregon, as people ask, what the hell happened to Portland, Oregon? Well, Sunshine, I have a few ideas. I have a few ideas what happened to Portland, Oregon, indeed. And there's a lot of compassion that I have for people that are going to be, let's just be frank, American refugees tomorrow. There's also a little bit of freedom that I get to experience. After years and years and years of feeling that it was my duty to warn everyone, I guess, about these major geopolitical realities, as well as the changes in the sun changing our civilization as we know it. I didn't say ending the world. I even speculated there might even be a little bit of freedom on its way for those people that are going to be well positioned in the right place at the right time. But we got to be karmically clean. Not everyone that has their palace, if you will, and all the food that one could eat and all the pot that one could smoke are energetically clean. So I'm on a path, really, to speak the spiritual truths that are not being spoken by other humans. I'm not limited by talking about relationships, solar flares, geopolitics, or even archons. Those may be my core themes, but those are just simply the realities that are taking place in our current world and day and age. If this was a different generation, if this was 1,000 years ago, we would be talking about something different, right? But we're here now in 2019, and the major superpower nations go by certain names. But the idea of them all being controlled by a hidden hand that's really connected with dark, non-human worlds, like something out of Mordor or Lord of the Rings. Our human world is being stepped on by something else that humans today don't seem to understand. They don't seem to even be able to take the basic mythologies within their own pop culture and go, this isn't just pop culture. This is reality. Maybe the world of pop culture and Hollywood is invading the minds of human consciousness, so people don't even realize for thousands of years people have contemplated the battle of good and evil, even non-human entities ruling over humanity, to simply take a world of knowledge and squish it into a Hollywood movie and stamp it Avengers Endgame, or to stamp it Guardians of the Galaxy, so people could say, ha ha, you got the idea from a movie. That is sophisticated mind control. Message to future generations, like we have literally an encyclopedia of experiences to look at from this day and age for whatever data is going to be preserved between now and the big event that may or may not wipe out all known electronics and maybe unknown here on Earth. I mean, think about that type of a scenario where even the powers that be, and maybe even some of the non-human technologies, the archonic technologies, what if there was a solar blast that would threaten the very infrastructure of the archonic dark grid? What type of a freedom, akin to something like the conclusion of the movie They Live? What type of reality may we really be in store for? And so people should, if they can, grow their own food, store their own food, prepare to survive whatever comes. But there's a difference between being on the spiritual path and allowing people in this day and age to control you based on your fears. We talked about like warning signs of the doomsday cult preppers that are out there. And we see patterns of this over the course of the last several decades. The opportunists that naturally emerge in human societies to act like they are there to help. We're here to help. We're here to help you. When in reality, they're there from a marketing perspective to get in on a market or a business when the time is right, like it's some sort of a stock market. And there may be certain signs that we can see in the personality types to where this is like a stock market thing for them. This isn't a spiritual thing. This is like getting on some sort of a bubble where certain types of products and ideas are sold that can make some people money. Well, it really is like that biblical saying about it being easier for a camel to go through a needle than for a rich man to be able to take his riches to heaven, or for a rich man to get to heaven. Because the greater reality is, in this day and age, you take a look at the equivalent of the rich man on YouTube, or the rich man online, or the people that are like feeding so many people the same type of like sound bites, like they're marketing geniuses, as they have literally these mental orgasms as they hit that 10,000 views, as they hit that 5,000 views. Those type of dopamine, like within the brain, organic, like free energy, cocaina type of wow, 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 you know, and it's like the human biological system circuitry can be so easily hijacked by those forces when the ego is led astray. Like I could start naming off a number of different, it's like their brain is responding as if they just shot some cocaine, even if maybe they didn't. From that type of many, many eyeballs hearing them, it's as if they're like a micro god feeding off of something else that's given them that type of archonic glow. They might even think that they're having a spiritual experience or that they're evolving. as they see the money truck in, as they see the numbers truck in. Well, to be popular in a hell realm where a lot of people are in fact lost and will say that they're woke when they don't even know the first thing about having compassion for people that are being mowed down like lawn grass. Where do people speak for them in today's woke movements? Answer, they don't. They don't. They do what cult members and religious organizations have done for years. Some people might even be critical of religions while building their own cults, revealing that the entire time they were really seeing those religions that used the symbols that they also used as competitors. Not institutions that were really different, but competitors. So it's one thing to be critical of religions. It's another to be critical in reality because that person sees them as a competitor. It's time that people applied the plethora of spiritual teachings on this YouTube channel that are delivered in this free flow to so many things that are taking place in this world. To your experience at the grocery store, to your experience at the library, your experience with the public, and what's realizing that there may be some levels of injustice that you're facing that may be like you're not inferior and you didn't need to be corrected, that you're just fine as you are. Maybe the world is fucked up. And maybe you're also being tested on another level to rise above retaliatory, revenge, vibratory thinking, that you need to somehow get back then. Because see, here's what I see. I see a society that's trying to brainwash people into retaliatory behavior. Even if on one level they're waking them up to elements of racism within society, the only reason the media will jump on certain stories is so they can get group fighting group, possessed, if you will. And the people won't even realize, well, wait a minute. Why is the media showing this to me? I was intelligent enough to see through this in 2012 when CNN was showing U.S. troops urinating on Afghani graves. There were stories about how U.S. troops cut their fingers off and made necklaces out of it. You know what I thought about? I thought about evil white men of the past that would skin Indians and run around going, oh, and maybe like hang them out to dry as a message to other savages. And so it connected with me early on. What they're doing to those people in Afghanistan is in fact to a certain degree worse. And this society is so fucking gone they won't admit that. Future generations will be the only ones to admit that. That's also why so many people are alienated from hearing me speak. Oh, fuck this shit, and they'll hit the back button. It's when I go there and remind them that what even is alleged to have happened to the Jews during World War II, what today the Western powers are doing to them is worse. But right now they're saying that they're not guilty of those things. And I'm saying basically what you just saw is our modern Nuremberg trials. And our modern version of the Nazis have been found innocent. Which means this isn't over yet. And so I'm the only person living that I know of that's speaking certain things and also holding certain blood. Whereas others are different in speech, in blood, in content, all the way around, anywhere you cut the pizza, anywhere you cut the pie. And I'm not going to be ashamed of that. And I'm not going to be afraid of the archonic forces and the ways that they can possess standing armies to take out those that expose them. Unfortunately, this is the way that it's always been. I'm starting to see these lifetimes, including my own, as something akin to Groundhog Day, and there's something terrifying in that, in awakening to a deeper reality of the reincarnation of the persecution of the truther, or the Gnostic, enter the word here, the person that keeps coming back trying to wake people up, or the village, only to face their pitchforks. There may be people looking back at this video that I've recorded now in the year 2019. And what will be said is that my audience in the years up to this were informed of the dangers that I faced. And in the end, I stood alone. In the end, I would have one friend that over the years wouldn't throw me under the bus, that would be able to manage something like a full-time job, and remembering a guy like Alex Ansary. I appreciate those that have donated financially, that have helped in other ways. Bread and water is very important. in a prison-like environment. So are fruits and vegetables. Okay, so I appreciate those that have helped me on the level of the bread and water using metaphors in this prison-type reality. But I've always craved fruits and vegetables. Metaphorically, what I mean is real community, friendships, places where I can travel to, places where I can do something other than just be in the same energetic space. So my hopes is that people, as they find my channel for the first time also, and see the way that I've been living, and as a result of the things that I've been talking about, as also they see a lack of kindness being projected at me from other YouTubers. Times in which my name is spoken. Is it a positive thing, or is it some sort of a joke? Why would that be more dominant than those that quote unquote come in the light? What would this say about society? How would things like that be actually a data sampling of the greater society? How would those people be a micro of the macro? How long would it take for the audience to understand this? Because as some of you become more conscious, maybe from a solar blast in the next year or so, you may have new ideas that you have never had before as to how you can help me. There may be other projects or other conferences in the future where it is a true sense of like minds and a sense of mutual respect, where maybe the insight that I have on the coming changes is seen as relevant to other people. How can I be of service? How can I sit down and maybe write something, a brand new presentation that hasn't been given already, and give something for a 2020 crowd or a 2025 crowd? Because this is not the end of the road for me. I don't care how terrifying the world appears, and we may actually be hit with an asteroid, and we might not be able to do anything about it. But am I going to attempt to live before I die? And what does that even mean? What does it mean to be on the quest to live before we die? So I'm going to leave those thoughts with you now, and I will be back in another video on the drive back home.